The attacks against foreigners in South Africa left many people dead in Durban and Johannesburg as anti-immigrant protesters carried out an orgy of violence. Ugandans living in South Africa were living in fear. The situation has prompted the political counsellor at the South African High Commission in Uganda to issue an apology.
Whatever amount of frustration any South Africans are experiencing in South Africa, these criminal acts and these recent events are inexcusable.
According to Wendy Swartz, close to 1,000 foreigners were forced to flee their homes in the recent attacks. There have been growing fears that the situation, which started in Durban, may spread to other parts of the country. The attacks began immediately after the Zulu king, Goodwill Zwelithini, called on foreigners to leave South Africa. The king has consequently been widely criticized on social media, with some people suggesting that he should be held responsible. The South African political counsellor to Uganda says the king's message was taken out of context.
The king's comments about foreigners were especially linked to illegal foreigners who are residing in South Africa and who are illegally trading, illegally dealing even in arms.
According to Ambassador James Mugume, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a recent meeting of ambassadors in South Africa agreed to compensate all the affected people.
There is a Ministry of Small Business Development which would look at these kinds of things.
There are reports that the Kenyan government has started evacuating its citizens. Ambassador Mugume says Uganda set up a crisis team which will continue monitoring the situation. Foreign Affairs officials estimate that 200,000 Ugandans are living in South Africa.
The most important thing is knowing where people are, because you don't want to start evacuating when you don't know where people you are evacuating are, how many they are.
The Ugandan government is calling upon its citizens to stay indoors and keep in touch with the South African embassy in case of any emergency.
A website, a Facebook, telephone numbers have been provided, and community leaders, especially in all parts of South Africa, are in touch with the High Commission.
South Africa has more than 2 million immigrants. The rise in unemployment rates has led to the government to come up with a policy that will enable foreigners to integrate into the broader South African society.
We amended our Immigration Act last year, in which immigrants were welcomed to South Africa, especially in terms of the skills that immigrants have that South Africans do not have.
Critics say that the South African leadership should condemn the perpetrators in the strongest terms possible. The Zulu king is expected to make a statement on Monday to clarify his previous remarks that sparked the attacks. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV Weekend Edition.